Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a fresh episode of The Energy of Houses and Properties with me and Aisha Rose Melody Hassan, and I'll check if she's online. We do every other week or so these conversations about the energy of houses and properties. And if you have a question for you personally or about energy in general connected with your home or your property, just put them in the comments and we'll answer them. So let me check. Aisha's there, so I'll invite her to join. And let's see here.
Hey.
She comes. Yay!
Hello.
Good morning. How are you? Are you back
Good
from
morning.
Ephesus?
Yes, back. Right. The last time we were speaking, I was doing the live broadcast from this retreat center in Ephesus. I'm back and very much feeling the energy of that place still within me, and I'm excited to share it. Yeah.
Well, let's hear it. Ephesus is an amazing power place in the area Aisha lives in Turkey. Maybe you can tell a little bit more about the people who didn't join last week's or last episode of The Energy of Houses and Properties. And she was checking out a new spot to hold VIP retreats for her clients. And she showed us the amazing views of that place. So if you want to see those views, check out our last episode from 2 weeks ago. And you look really radiant. So I'm really interested in what kind of information you brought back home.
Oh, thank you, Nicky. Yes, I feel radiant, and this is part of the power of power places. Building your power place and visiting power places. They give you this energy boost, and what I would call a creative life force that you can tap that helps you, everything from, leading an efficient day with your business to receiving creative inspirations, to being able to ground and come to a place of anchoring that allows you to stay clear of unnecessary issues, unnecessary distractions, energetic distractions, whether it be relationships, even being affected by things in the news, right? What's going on in the world. We're faced with increasing challenges each and every single day. And so, tapping into power places is like, I think about you, Nicky, and you doing your swimming on a consistent basis. And of course, you also go to power places and you're an expert in the geomancy field. But it's like energetic maintenance. People would go to power places to maintain their system, to get a dose of the energy that's emanating from the place. I mean, these temples are harnessing forces from the earth, forces from the cosmos, and they are also amplifiers of those energies. And sometimes they can be intense, sometimes not, depending on where you are and at what, in what state the power place is, right? But you know, it's one of these things that we've forgotten about. One of these things that we have forgotten about as a collective to do, to have this energetic maintenance, to do this energetic maintenance, go to these pilgrimages, right? You know, once a month, once a year, and get your dose of the deep wisdom that is emanating from the blueprints of these places, so you can remember your own divine blueprint, what you really came here to do, what you're really made of, what the elements that you're really made of, all your parts, and your entire being, and how it all connects with yeah, with the greater whole, with the greater whole. So I have opened up my schedule for June, September, October, November. May is already booked. So June, September, October, and November to join me. It's a one-on-one, high-touch experience at the temples, the ancient city of Ephesus, and the Temple of Artemis, and I will be guiding women who are hearing the call to create, birth, design the sacred blueprints of our new earth. So this can be architects, landscape architects, interior designers, and visionary leaders who are not designers, but who are really feeling the call to either spearhead, lead the creation of a new community project, a new school, a spiritual center, right? Like the new housing models for the city, right? Big vision people. This is a call for these people to join me at this very sacred site that is a bridge between East and West. It is a bridge between masculine and feminine. It is a sweet spot, one of the sweet spots in the world that are really, you can feel both the divine masculine and the divine feminine there, but more so for these times, the goddess is really speaking from that place. And yeah, I was going to say something else, but I lost my train of thought. So yes, so doors are open, and I'm so excited to be holding this vessel for these women.
So I have a question. If you are totally new to energy work and power places, we obviously know that we could the energies and we could recognize a power spot in the wild. But if you are new, I would say go to old pilgrimage places or old churches from the early mid-centuries specifically, because they are built by geomancers. But would you recommend such a person to dive in to the history of such a place, or just go and experience? What would you recommend?
Yeah.
If you're totally new to this whole concept of power places.
It's a really good question, Nikki. I am not such a history person. I don't remember dates and specific events in history as well as, let's say, like my husband. He's really good. He's a walking encyclopedia, right? And you know, I'm much more of a feeler. I'm a knower, and I'm feeling the energies that are there at the moment and whatever I need to receive at that moment. Okay, so you know, for example, with this sacred journey that I'm guiding people through the ancient city of Ephesus, the focus would not be to teach them about the history of the place. Sometimes that can be a distraction, and it can take you up too much to your mind, and then you can miss the essence of feeling the essence of the place, the essence quality of the place. And I'll give you an example. close to, and I think we talked about this in one of our past, this experience I had in one of our past episodes. Close by is the house of Mary, Mother Mary, not Mary Magdalene, but Mother Mary. And a nun, I believe she was German, I'm not sure, back in the day had a vision that Mother Mary and John came to Ephesus to seek refuge away from the Romans after Jesus's death. And she's there. I mean, she's there. You can feel Mary in Ephesus. You can feel St. John is there too. There was a church built there for St. John. But when you go to the house of Mary, okay, you can get a lot of information about, okay, she stayed here, this is this was the vision that was received, and the dates, and, you know, where it was written that she was there, and, you know, all of that. But to be honest, I don't feel Mary at that structure, at that house. And I don't know if it's because she never lived there, because I kept on walking around the house going, this is not her house. This is not her house. And it doesn't feel like a house either when you look at the architecture of it. And please, I mean, this is my experience. You know, I'm very open to hearing, like, share in the comments. If anybody has been to this place, please share in the comments your experience. But what has happened is there's been a lot of overlays of information onto that power place, or onto that sacred site, rather. I'm not sure if I would call it quite a power place, that specific location. And because it's far off the ancient city, it's really beautiful drive going all the way up to this hilltop, really, like, it's almost like you're visiting someone's hermitage, like a hermit up in the middle of the forest. It's really beautiful. And there's also a space for the priests and the nuns. I believe they're linked to the Vatican, which is close, just a walk around the corner from her house. And there are many people coming from all different parts of the world to do pilgrimages there. And that in itself brings an energy. Whether it's good or bad, there are good aspects to it, and there are not so healthy aspects to it, in my opinion. So, because there's a lot of tourists going through this house, like, kind of like cattle, like, right through, right? And so you could approach that place, holding on to the information. Okay, this is Mother Mary's place. You know, a nun saw that she lived there, and in this and this date, this happened. This and this date, that happened. And what ends up happening is you hold on to that history book or that tourist guide, right, throughout the whole experience, but then you miss feeling the subtle energies there. You miss feeling what is present there in the moment, because your mind is anchored in, or it is kind of dependent on the information from the book. Okay? Now, that said, these are all questions that are yes and no, like, or no but, right? And Nicky, and I know this is also how you work when you approach working with a property. You'll do some research. You'll do some research about the property. When was it built? The name of the street, like, just, you know, when was this building built and which architect built it, right? Like, was there a story behind this factory? If you, sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's interesting to take a bit of a reference and look at the history without depending so much on that information, but kind of allow what information wants to come through as clues, as keys, as part of your journey. Yeah. Because if I was too dependent on the facts, I feel like I would have been more, you know, could it be a manipulation of my mind or whatever, manipulation of the experience? I don't think I would have been able to really feel the essence. And now, and figure out, okay, is the spirit of Mary, Mother Mary, really there? Did she really live there? And in the end, I found her in the water down below. I found her in the spring. There's a beautiful opening to down under the house, along this kind of retaining wall where the spring water was flowing, and she started speaking to me. She said, I'm here. I'm in nature. I'm in the forest. I'm here. But she did not make her presence in the house itself. Yeah, yeah.
I was asking because a lot of my clients who visit sacred spaces come back to me with stories like it didn't feel comfortable, it felt heavy and sluggish, and all these kinds of not very uplifting kind of moods and emotions. And then I always tell them, in what kind of layer of information did you tune in to? So, because if you are to go into a church, a lot of people come there to, tell their worries, to pray for not such nice situations. So there is a lot of emotional baggage that's been taken off at such places. And if you tune in into that layer, it's not really a nice feeling, I can imagine. So I always advise to tune in to the original, either whatever you want to receive information from, the original space where this church was built, or the original intention of the building. So have a kind of a clear image of what kind of information you would like to receive. And that's why I also do a lot of research. So I am able to recognize the kind of energy. So I have kind of knowing the way, which route to go to receive the information I need to receive at that specific point in time. And if you are totally new to that and you just want to experience the place, it's very easy to get swamped away by all these emotions that are there from all those people that are visiting, especially when it's also a very touristic space. Because a lot of, I always think like tourists are taking something from a space, they take the pictures and they come to get something, while pilgrims also bring something. It is more of an exchange. And if you are working with energies, it's always a very aware exchange. And even, if you're just, visiting as a tourist, there's also an exchange. But the more awareness you put into this meeting with the space, the more you can receive from it. And the space from you as well. It's always an exchange. So there's always different layers in a place where you can tune into. And by visiting more and more the same spot, and I'm sure you will do that in the next coming months as well, you will get to know the space better. You will discover more and more layers, and you will discover what is needed at that moment with that client in time. So it will get richer and richer. So you don't have to go. It is very much possible to go to the same spot every week or every day and experience a totally different atmosphere every time.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Nikki. That is a really good piece of advice to give people, especially those who are empaths, who are more susceptible to being affected by large groups of people. If you're someone who gets really sensitive after going to a shopping mall, either you get a headache or you feel drained or depressed or a bit of anxiety, high chances you're taking on other people's energy. And with power places, energies get amplified. And so your advice, Nikki, about focusing on tuning into the essence of the place. What level are you tuning into, right? What level, what frequency are you tuning into? And that does require some maintenance of some preparation, not, over efforting. I mean, some of us can do it in 1 minute. Some may need the morning to do some meditation and to anchor in your own inner column, your own inner temple, and then walk into the church. Walk into the mosque, walk into whatever sacred building. I often find that it's not always, but especially in the beginnings, to tune into the essence of place, it helps me to go deep down into the center of the earth, below the church itself, below the synagogue, or below the temple itself. And there you greet and meet some earth energies that are present, that were part of the original blueprint. Sometimes you go high up. Sometimes, whoop, you're taken all the way high up above the roof. But in general, to help ground and anchor yourself in, it's helpful to do that, because there may be some people who are like, well, I don't know, how am I going to control this? Like, I mean, there are people that I go around around Ephesus with, and they're just like, okay, let's take another path. There's too many people, right? I'm used to the people generally. I used to be more sensitive, but I feel that I have a stronger inner anchor now to be able to go through all of that. But I get it. It can be sometimes really overwhelming with people taking pictures, and what you said, people taking from the power place. I just got shivers when you said that, Nicky. Rather than being a pilgrim and offering something to that place. This is a huge piece that we have forgotten about. Huge, huge piece. Our colleague who was on the interview series as well, a couple series back, Lydia de Leon, she says she always asks permission, asks the temple and the power place for permission to connect with the site, right? Here we are, myself as well, I'm guilty of it too. Sometimes we're going to these touristic, sites, ancient sites, and we're just walking in there, right? And we start taking pictures. We're like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. That's so amazing. And right? But are we really communing with that place, with the being of that place? And that's where the juice is. That's where the magic resides. That's where you can transform into your highest potential. And that's where you can really harness the energies of that place to begin to manifest your dreams. Whether those dreams are about clarity, mental clarity, health, wisdom, having more creativity in your life. And sometimes you may not be aware. We just got a very loud helicopter fly over us. It shook the whole tiny house. So yeah, I mean that just you really hit it there. We used to be pilgrims. We used to be going to these places with gifts, bearing gifts, offering something to that place. Now it's like, Disneyland sometimes. Yeah.
So have you got any questions from people who are watching?
Yeah. So nice to see people joining. Is it resonating with anybody? Do you have any questions about power places? Are you feeling any particular connections to specific places in the world? That sometimes happens, where you start to see visions of places that you need to go to. That's like almost like a part of you is there, and a piece of the puzzle is there. You can connect to those places telepathically from a distance.
I experienced a call like that years ago. I really, really wanted to see Peru, but I didn't know nothing about Peru. So we decided to go on a trip. It was a special trip with a group, and the tour leader organized visits with shamanic leaders locally there. So we visited with shamans specific power places in Peru and also Machu Picchu. And still, and it's over, I think, 15 years ago that we went. Still to this day, I remember and get lessons from that visit. Sometimes some events I just didn't understand, and I still do not understand, but it's like it's revealing itself because I received so many downloads in that one trip of 3 weeks that I still learn lessons to this day. So even if you only do a one-time visit to a certain place, if you just take the time to just sit down and just receive, open up, and exchange, and maybe you do not get it. Maybe you get visions or images or 3D images, just shapes or numbers, and you have no idea what they mean. It will come in time, and it can take many years. But as long as you are open, it will have its effect one way or another.
I love that, Nikki. And you know, for me, what you're talking about is very much the feminine, to be open, to receive, and to not always be like, well, what does this mean? What is the product that comes out of it, right? To sit with those images, those numbers, those visions, those feelings, and trust that they will unravel over time. That's the mystery. Mm-hmm. That's the mystery.
And the other way has its value as well. If you go in with the more yang intention because you want to have a solution to a specific kind of whatever, then it is very much helpful to set your intention and connect with that specific energy on this specific layer, on this specific spot. And then you will receive that information as well, which is a totally different way. But for some situations, maybe a bit more effective. But because I didn't know why I was called to go there, and yeah, we had the opportunity to go, and we found, a group of people that felt right to go to do this with, because it's always different when you go on a tour or that you go on your own. But this was really, still to this day, was such an amazing trip. It all has to feel right, and then you just can, you only can receive.
Yeah, so beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, these places really do reveal parts of ourselves. Want to share that with the Temple of Artemis in Ephesus. It is a mystery. There's so much about the mystery there. This that sometimes you can't put your finger on it, and the mysteries were taught there. It's a mystery school, and over time, overlaid, that mystery got distorted. That truth got distorted. The Romans came in as well, and they did their thing and started building temples for emperors rather than nature spirits, or rather than the goddess. This is a big difference. There's a distinction there. Important that we took that route. Rudolf Steiner talks about the Roman arch, right? That got developed during the Roman times. There was no arches in ancient Greece. This is a really important piece that he really, I'd love to go deeper into it because there's so much depth to it. But he talks about the Roman arch also being an outer expression of the development of the ego.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so, which is needed for our process of individuation. I'm not someone who's like, oh, that's just your ego, and like try to push your ego away. There's an ego with a capital E and there's an ego with a small e. The capital E is much more connected to our higher self, and it's a certain vehicle, a faculty that we do need to go through this process of individuation that we're all going through. We're becoming less and less attached to the tribe or the family, and we are all going on our own unique path. For this, we need egos, people. But how to work with it is a whole other thing. So that's a divertimento. But in Ephesus, there are all these layers from the Roman experience, okay? And this is after the death of Jesus, which is important, a very important, point in time. And I was looking at the map the last time I was there of the whole site, of the ancient site. And Temple of Artemis is way in a different location. You would have to walk a path to get to her, to that temple. That's one of the earliest ancient temples, which got built over time, and it's one of the 7 wonders of the world. But the mystery of it is now it is cut off by a big road, so that original path to the temple is cut off right now. You'd have to drive a car, like you can't take that pilgrimage route anymore. And very little of her is standing right now, except for this one column, and you can see a lot of the foundations, of course, of the various expansions that they made of the temple. But it's connected to this mystery, Nicky, to be with that mystery, to perhaps it's okay to not have it all pieced back together again. Mm-hmm. Or do we piece her back together again in our hearts? Right.
That comes up. Maybe you noticed that. You just said that this old road has been cut off. But is the energy still going to this place? Or is that road also cut off?
It's a good question. It's a really good thing to investigate. I mean, I certainly feel the energy when I'm there at the Temple of Artemis. But there's something missing when you go to the main city. So, see, this is a great example also of the power and beauty of conversation. So Nicky and I are having this conversation, and it's like we're both now in this detective mode, right? So Nicky sensed something there right now, and then you go, I wonder, and then it starts to take you somewhere, leads you to another clue.
Because I remember a story from one of my mentors in Germany, and he is originally a landscape architect, and he was talking about a project that involved the planning of a highway, and it was just planning phase. But when he went to the location, this planning energy of this highway was already there. So all the nature spirits and all the animals were already responding to this whole on of this highway. So that was really a kind of a strong energy already there, even when it was just in project phase, in drawing phase, not even. So the other way around, and I see that with remodeling houses as well. You know, you want to walk through a door that's not there anymore, and in the other way around. But in the big, and because you said there is this road that's cut off, it might make a difference. And I don't know, maybe you are called to do that. Maybe because it comes up in the conversation, we need to take it to another level. It needs to be restored, or maybe it's still there, but it just needs a little bit of caretaking from somebody who's, you know, like a gatekeeper of the space, like people do with uh, wells as well. There's always someone who's the protector of the space. It would be really worth investigating and see what's happening there.
Brilliant. Yeah, I agree. I agree. There was a ding moment there for sure when I was looking at that map and seeing how it was cut off. And then, of course, all the information came through that it's also because humanity is cut off from the goddess. Humanity is cut off from the essence of Mother Nature, of life-giving forces, of spirit, of beauty. And it's profound. It's really profound. And I also am hearing, I shared before, that it's up to the women who hear the call, men as well. I'm saying women because I serve women, but men as well, who hear the call to restore this path back to the goddess, back to nature, back to truth. And of course, the masculine present. We can't build architecture without the masculine energy. The temple cannot be built without masculine. No way. No way. We need structure. We need foundations. We need precision. We need the mathematics. We need the optical tricks that the temple builders would build to make these beautiful proportions of the we need it. But now is the time to bring the balance back, because it's way too weighted on the male, and the goddess has been forgotten about. I mean, the Romans stomped all over the goddess in many ways.
Yeah. And I'd like to add a little warning with that as well, because I heard about people going to power places and then they find the need to clear the space.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing that you discover that some kind of road leading to a temple is energetically cut off, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you are also the person that needs to fix that.
It's brilliant. You hit it on the nail. Yeah.
You take on a responsibility that is not yours. Would it help, and would it help you in the end? There are dangers attached to that kind of work, so you really have to know your stuff. So please, please, please don't go into a space and be as arrogant as we humans can be. Like, I need to clear this up because there's too much emotional energy there, and it needs to be clear because it's a sacred space and it's an old church and it's a temple and it's a whatever. It's just an opinion. It's just your mind playing tricks on you. It's just an opinion. So please be respectful and receive. And if you notice something like that, the first thing you should do, just, you know, in a very yang kind of way, find the one who is responsible of the property and ask permission.
Yeah.
And if you are afraid to find the owner and ask permission because of your spiritual beliefs and they tell you you're crazy, then you have to go within yourself and wonder, okay, is this me, or is it the calling, or is it my ego?
Yeah. Bam. Nicky. Yes. 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 I share this with my students in the architect studio and my clients. You know, of course, we have this want to make things better on this planet, to heal, to make things better, to harmonize, to balance. As spiritual people, as sensitive people, but I 100% agree with you, Nikki. First of all, consent is very important. The temple, the land, the building, the property is a living being. And how would you like it if someone came up to you and said, I'm going to clear your aura? You know, there's a lot of people doing this in Instagram, writing messages about each other's auras. I see this, I see that. You need a clearing because this in the past, like, fuck you. Like, that's just like, no, no, no. You didn't get my consent. You didn't receive my consent. So, the temple is the same. The power place is the same. High chances you have been drawn there to learn something about yourself first, to experience the place, to learn and to commune with it. Now, over time or when you're there, like you said, Nikki, that you are receiving some information that you are maybe part of the reason why the temple needs to come back into balance, and that you have a role, that you play a role in bringing that balance back to the temple. Okay, maybe. Sure, then you can, right, ask permission. But these big land healing, power place healing work, doing it with groups is also good, and really thinking it through, making sure it's that it's the right, responsible decision. Otherwise, if you're just going and clearing other people's properties from a distance, or clearing this, clearing that, no.
And
It's very arrogant.
Don't go for asking permission from somebody else's higher self or something like that. You know, that's why I really like how Marco Pochaknik is working, because he is a sculptor originally, and he makes these beautiful things for city councils. So he has, in a way, an assignment from city council, and that gives him permission to work with the energy in the environment, because he creates a statue for this particular city or whatever. And you really should connect the invisible world with the visible world. So ask permission to the owner, really, in writing if you need to. So don't go for, I ask permission, and his higher self said, higher self what? Is the person in coma? No. Then really, it's really, I stress this, is really important.
Thank you, Nikki, for emphasizing this. And it's just one of these important details to be mindful of, and just exactly. Always ask permission, and be open to what that place needs to teach you.
And it can be really hard to find the right person, especially when it's about a city council or a club, or I can't find the English word for it, but when there's a border of people, owning the company, it can be really difficult. But if you don't have permission, please don't work, because there's no point. It's wasted energy.
Yeah. So important. And, I'm sure you experience that with your clients too, Nikki. I mean, your clients consent to working with you. Likewise, with my clients, I mean, even with the alchemical healing sessions that I do, consent, that we're co-creating together. When the two consciousnesses come together to do it, then it's something, right? But if you're just trying to do it without co-creating with the land or with your client, then it just, the power of it gets lost. It's less effective as well.
Yeah.
Effective. Yeah.
Any questions about this? And if you have, and maybe later when you watch the replay, just, send them in, and we can talk about it a bit further in the next episode.
Yeah. I'm curious where everyone's from. I love the international presence. I feel like there are people from all different parts of the world. Maybe everyone's in Europe? Yeah, it'd be great to know. Share in the comments below where you're from, what you do, if you're open to that, of course.
We are very curious who's watching all this
Yes.
conversational.
Before we close, Nikki, what is this 10K thing? And you're wearing this wetsuit, and I'm seeing you with like photos of you at the side of the pool cheering. I'm trying to understand the Dutch, but I can't understand the Dutch. What's happening? Tell us. What did you do? You swim them?
I have another account. It's called the Koudwatercoach. I communicate there in Dutch because it's local. People I have, it's local. There is a little secret. There is always a little button that says translate, and it will automatically. I think it's Google Translation. The caption that's under it. But I was one of my swimming buddies said there is this event and you can swim up to 10K if you want. So I signed up and I thought, my first response was, hell no, I'm not going to swim so many laps in a pool. You must be crazy. Yeah, but we're going to do this tour in July, so we need training anyway. So I'm joining. So I signed up for 8 kilometers in a 50 meters pool, and it's without heating. So we needed to wear a wetsuit. And it was for me one of my first really long swims. So we also got a little chip that timed your swim. And the organization stood at the pool. Hey, you've reached your 8K, and my watch was not as far, so I was totally confused because it skipped a couple of laps, my watch, so I didn't know. So I was looking up and I said, okay, do I have to leave the pool now? No, you can swim. So I swam, and then my swimming buddy, who already left the pool, he said, how many laps do you still have to go? I said, well, actually, I don't know. I've reached 8, but I have enough power. So, and then she checked and said, well, you only have to go 1,700 meters. So I was like, hey, I cannot get out of the water now. I need to finish this. Okay. So I swam 10 kilometers. I don't swim fast, but I did it. And officially, I think marathon swimming starts with 10K. So I think I'm allowed to say I'm a marathon swimmer now.
Yes! Congratulations, Nikki. That's amazing. I wonder what spirit was playing with your watch there. Maybe it was the water spirits. The nymphs were playing a little trick on your watch there because they knew, like, just do the 10K. Ah, that's great.
So yeah, it felt really really cool, and I swam a couple of swims this week, and I still feel it in my body, but actually I'm fine. So all my hard work in the winter inside in the indoor pool paid off, because 10K was the goal for this summer, and I did it in a pool, and now I have to take it outside. So the next challenge is 9K in open water, and I'm really.
Do you do lake swimming? Is it lake swimming that you're doing, or open in the ocean? Do you have a lake? I think there was a lake that you were swimming in the last time, right?
I live 5-minute cycle from a lake, which is my home waters, and I train there a lot. And this 9K swim we'll go do in a canal, so which is also different. And I talked with another swimming buddy to do a sea swim clinic, because that's a whole different ballgame. Because you need, to know about the sea and the ocean and how that works safety-wise.
Wow.
So there's a lot more to learn and a lot more to discover, also in connection with, water spirit and the environment.
But maybe we could talk about that the next time. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting journey, and for the most of it, I'm just, receiving and empty and just swim. While other people,
just see, because sometimes my mind works like with cartoons and characters too. I'm just seeing all these water nymphs like cheering you on as you're like swimming in the canal or the lake. You know, like they have a great sense of humor too, and they're really watching the energy flow and the dynamic. They're the ones who are bringing life to the flow of rivers, the life to the flow of the sea. So I just think they're totally cheering you on, and I'm sure that they played that trick on you with the watch.
Yeah. I'll look into that. That hadn't crossed my mind. That because it's artificial. It's a swimming pool. But maybe
I water is still water, right?
Yeah.
Water still is water, even if it's highly chlorinated or whatever. There is still magic in water. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. I accomplished a huge target. So yeah.
Amazing. Fantastic, Nikki. Well, amazing session. I gotta get going. I have a lunch date and some things to deliver in the mail.
Yeah, me too. If you're watching the replay and you have any questions, just put them in the comments or send us a direct message. If you have questions for next episode, we would love to receive them. If you want to work with one of us, just write an email and express your wishes. If you want to go on a retreat or join a course or work one-to-one, just let us know. Yeah. And we'll reply as soon as we can, because we are both very with busy schedules, but we reply to emails. It could take a day or two with me sometimes. I don't know about you, but we will reply.
Yeah.
So don't hesitate to connect either here on Instagram or in email. And see you in 2 weeks.
Perfect. Yes. See you, Nikki.
Yeah.
Have a good rest of the day. Thanks for the invitation. Bye.